Welcome. In this explainer, we'll break down the constitutional framework governing the Council of Ministers, analyze its internal hierarchies, and trace its real-world evolution through the political history of Rajasthan. Let's look under the hood of state executive power. At the heart of state government sits the Council of Ministers, the true executive engine of governance. To understand how it operates, we divide our analysis into three distinct pillars. First, the law, decoding the constitutional origins and mathematical limits placed on executive power. Second, the structure, mapping the four-tiered hierarchy and distinguishing the broader council from the core cabinet. And third, the local context, tracing Rajasthan's unique political evolution, specialized formations, and landmark leadership archetypes. Every state executive derives its power from Article 164 of the Constitution of India. This single article defines three mandatory elements. First, creation. The governor officially appoints the Council of Ministers, but this is done strictly on the selection and advice of the Chief Minister. Second, the oath. Before entering office, every minister must take a dual oath administered by the governor, the Oath of Office and the Oath of Secrecy, as prescribed in the third schedule. And third, tenure. Ministers hold office during the pleasure of the governor. In normal democratic practice, this translates to the standard 5-year life of the elected Legislative Assembly. To prevent bloated, oversized cabinets formed purely for political appeasement, Parliament enacted the 91st Constitutional Amendment in 2003. This placed a strict mathematical cap on executive size under Article 164. 1A, the total number of ministers, including the Chief Minister, cannot exceed 15% of the total membership of the state's Legislative Assembly, with an absolute floor cap of 12. Applying this formula to Rajasthan, with its 200-seat Legislative Assembly, 15% sets an ironclad upper legal ceiling of exactly 30 ministers. Today, Rajasthan operates comfortably within this limit, featuring a 21-member council comprising 1 chief minister, 10 cabinet ministers, and 10 ministers of state. Executive power within the government is structured as a four-tiered hierarchy. At the apex is the cabinet minister, the primary decision-maker heading key state ministries like finance, home, and health. Below them is the Minister of State, who either holds independent charge of specific smaller departments or directly assists a cabinet minister. Further down sits the Deputy Minister, filling purely supportive administrative roles across ministries. And at the base is the Parliamentary Secretary, an entry-level executive position designed to assist senior leaders with legislative duties. Notice a crucial exception. While the top three tiers take their oath before the governor, parliamentary secretaries are administered their oath directly by the chief minister. People often confuse the Council of Ministers with the cabinet, but they serve very different structural roles. In terms of size, the council is large, comprising up to 30 members in Rajasthan, whereas the cabinet is a small, compact inner circle. In terms of composition, the council includes all four tiers of ministers, while the cabinet consists exclusively of top cabinet rank ministers. And operationally, the council is a broad administrative body that rarely meets as a single entity. The cabinet, by contrast, is the real policy-making nucleus that meets regularly to chart the state's executive direction. Remember the key rule: all cabinet members are part of the council, but not all council members belong to the cabinet. The Council of Ministers exercises a 6-part executive mandate across state governance, policy formulation, shaping macro-level state strategies, socio-economic development, allocating resources to address public needs, legislative drafting, preparing and introducing government bills in the Assembly, financial management, drafting and executing the state's annual budget, appointments, advising the governor on key administrative assignments, accountability, defending government actions and answering queries on the assembly floor. State governance relies on two mandatory mechanisms of accountability. First, collective responsibility, anchored in Article 164. 2. The entire council is collectively answerable to the Legislative Assembly. All executive decisions are legally unanimous, they sink and swim together. If the Assembly passes a no-confidence motion, the entire council must resign immediately. Second, the principle of confidentiality. Bound by Article 164(3) and their oath of secrecy, ministers must keep internal cabinet discussions strictly confidential. Any minister publicly breaching this secrecy forfeits their position and can be forced to resign. Beyond formal structures, two specialized administrative formations exist. First, the kitchen cabinet or internal cabinet. This is an informal, highly concentrated circle of 2 to 4 ultra-loyal ministers and trusted advisors who informally consult with the chief minister on critical, sensitive decisions. Second, the shadow cabinet. Formed by the official opposition party, this acts as a mirror structure where shadow ministers track and critique specific government counterparts. Historically, Rajasthan saw the formal introduction of a shadow cabinet during the 13th Legislative Assembly under opposition leader SMT. Vasundhara Raje. Rajasthan's administrative structure hasn't stayed static. A pivotal turning point arrived during the 4th Legislative Assembly, from 1967 to 1972. Under the leadership of Chief Minister Mohanlal Sukhadia, Rajasthan's political machinery underwent a permanent expansion. This era marked the historic first creation of Minister of State and Parliamentary Secretary positions in the state, officially stratifying the council into the four-tiered system we see today. It's important to note that the office of Deputy Chief Minister is purely a political creation with no explicit mention in the constitution. It is used strategically to balance power, regions, and social representation. Throughout Rajasthan's history, 7 individuals have served as Deputy CM. Tikka Ram Paliwal was the first, stepping into the role in 1952 after stepping down as Chief Minister. Harishankar Bhabhara held the longest tenure and stands as the only Deputy CM who also served as Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. Kamla Beniwal became Rajasthan's first female Deputy CM. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot utilized this strategic role most frequently, appointing Banwari Lal Barwa, Kamla Beniwal, and Sachin Pilot across his tenures. Turning to the human element at the top of the executive pyramid, Rajasthan's political history reveals 4 distinct chief minister archetypes. First, the marathoner, exemplified by Mohanlal Sukhadia. Holding the office of chief minister for 17 years across 4 terms, his extended leadership shaped the foundational administrative and development architecture of modern Rajasthan. Second, the briefest council, represented by Hiralal Devpura. Serving for just 16 days in early 1985, his tenure stands as the shortest in the state's political history. Third, the dual mandate, a category of 6 chief ministers who bridged state and national polity by serving as Lok Sabha MPs alongside their tenure in state governance. Hiralal Shastri, Vasundhara Raje, Ashok Gehlot, Jagannath Pahadia, Tikaram Paliwal, and Shivcharan Mathur. And fourth, the firsts, historic political milestones marked by Barkatullah Khan, Rajasthan's first minority chief minister who held office through the critical 1971 war period before passing away in office in 1973, and Vasundhara Raje, who made history as the state's first female chief minister. A minister's power isn't absolute. The law provides 3 distinct mechanisms that automatically strip a minister of office. First, the anti-defection trap. Under Article 164, 1b, added by the 91st Amendment, any member disqualified from the Assembly for defecting under the 10th Schedule is immediately barred from holding minister status. Second, the disqualification mandate for corruption. Under Section 8 of the Representation of the People Act, 1951, any individual convicted of corruption or criminal offences carrying significant sentences is constitutionally barred from holding office or heading the council. And third, the 6-month clock under Article 164, 4. A non-legislator can be appointed as a minister, but the clock starts ticking immediately. They have exactly 6 consecutive months to win a seat in the Legislative Assembly, or they automatically forfeit their office. To synthesize, state executive governance forms an interconnected ecosystem of 3 core bodies linked by one central figure. The council formulates policies and directs socio-economic strategy. The governor gives formal, constitutional validation to executive decisions. The assembly holds the executive accountable, serving as the bedrock where confidence must be maintained. Connecting them all is the chief minister, acting under Article 167 as the mandatory constitutional bridge, relaying all council decisions to the governor while leading the majority in the assembly. To wrap up our breakdown, keep these 4 essential takeaways in mind. Strictly capped. Article 164 throttles executive size at 15% of the assembly, fixing Rajasthan's maximum capacity at 30 ministers. Hierarchical design. The executive is structured across 4 roles, with the cabinet acting as the core policy nucleus. Dual accountability. Ministers operate under strict collective responsibility to the legislature and individual oaths of confidentiality. Continuous evolution, from creating parliamentary secretaries in the Fourth Assembly to utilizing deputy chief ministers, Rajasthan's polity continuously adapts constitutional principles into real-world governance. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment if you enjoyed this quick revision.